All right, we're here for First Look, Episode 4. Want to go over our sponsors real quick. GoSports.com for all your paintball content. Be sure to subscribe to www.gosports.com. MyFanWagon.com for your fantasy and stats in paintball. Join the NXL League. It's free. Make your fantasy picks March 17th through the 19th. The event will be going on. Prizes are going to be huge. We gave away a dozen guns last year. We're going to be giving away even more this year. GISports.com for all your paintball products. They've set up paintballsponsorship.com. Get your team on there, get set up, get your swag for the All-In program and the Imperial program. Episode 4, we're going to be breaking down Bracket A. Today I have Meter Ninios. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
Let's get right into it. Bracket A for Vegas on the Pro Division is going to be Impact, Infamous, Uprising, Aftershock, and Impact's out-of-bracket match is against Heat. We're going to start with that matchup. Let's go through everything. We're going to go through stats, fantasy, player changes, and our predictions.
Yeah.
Impact Heat.
Impact Heat.
Right out of the gate. Number 1 and number, I think, 4 as of World Cup.
Yeah.
But teams that are expected to win.
Yeah. Teams built to win with a lot of, backing behind them. Let's look. Heat last year didn't have the year that they were looking for. Pretty much underwhelmed the hype that they built themselves, and especially going against Impact. Most of their losses come with are from Impact.
Yeah, looking at over the scale of the year, Heat lost twice to Impact in the NXL. One time during the semifinals, 6-2. One time during the prelims, 4-3. And they won against Impact in the finals, 4-6 at Sunday Nashville. But where does that put them? End of the year, they're losing to Impact.
Yeah.
Player changes. What do you think of their pickups?
Heat's pickups are interesting. Picking Ronnie back up after getting rid of him was kind of a surprise. They brought that kid up, and he was a rookie with them, and he won his first World Cup, Heat's first World Cup in 2012. So when they got him again, I was pretty surprised. Not questioning his ability, but just it's strange to see a player get cut from a team and then them reach back out only a few years later. I think it's a great pickup though. He's young, talented, has history with the team. And he's where he feels like he belongs. He wasn't happy with Aftershock, and now he's doing what he wants to do with them. So I think they're going to get the best out of him. Who else did they grab? They grabbed Nico Hyde and Devin Stewart from AC Dallas. A very unconventional approach, grabbing two guys from a lower tier team. And of that, the guys, Nico was a starter, but we didn't really see too much of Devin. Devin's a really good player. Didn't necessarily shine in the AC Dallas camp. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. We got to see what those guys bring to the table, playing for a big boy team that is a thoroughbred championship team. There's no slack on that team, and they're definitely not used to that competitiveness for playing time.
Let's talk about the matchup. Houston Heat in the Snake. Who's the one? Chad George, right?
Chad George.
And on Impact, Keith Brown.
Could be Keith Brown, Mouse. Could be Dalton Vanderbilt. We're not going to know until we see the layout and see how those guys are all playing. Could be Justin Cornell. You really don't know with that team.
How do you think that will play into them or against them? Having that, is it the variable a good thing for Impact? Or is the consistency better with Chad George knowing he's going to get that many reps? How do you see that?
Well, with that being said about Chad George, it's interesting because we saw a lot of times last year Fedorov actually playing the one. There was, what event was that? Dallas. We saw Fedorov play the one majority of the event come Sunday. So, I don't really know.
And Sergey.
Yeah, and Sergey.
In Millennium particularly.
Sergey played a lot of.
Sergey plays the one on the Snakes.
Yeah. So, that's an interesting question. For Impact's sake, I think it's good because they have a bunch of variables, a bunch of guys, they can get production that are going to get production. I don't know in what dimension you're not going to get production out of Mouse, Dalton, Keith, or Justin. It's a very rare day. So I think that's working in their favor.
Let's assume it's going to be a cookie cutter layout. Right?
Yeah.
Let's assume you're going to have your two starting bunkers. Let's assume there's going to be the Cobra, which is like your entry into the Snake or the corner. And you have your traditional ladder snake.
They're going to put Mouse in there.
You see Mouse.
Yeah.
So if it's an aggressive snake, you see Mouse.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And Chad.
Yeah. Mouse and Chad. That's the matchup there. And that, I think I'm going to give it to Mouse on that. Mm-hmm. He knows how to get people off the field, get threats off the field, and especially if it's a traditional snake side, that's what you want to do. You want to go get that guy off the field and cause as much havoc. And I think Mouse is a perfect fit for that style. Chad's a more of a methodical snake player that we've seen in recent years. We haven't seen too much of Chad, burning down the snake and getting 3 kills that he used to do, just because that's not what layouts are providing these days. Mm-hmm. So if it is a traditional one, Mouse is your guy.
Let's look at the other side of the field. Dorito side, Impact traditionally has been playing a World Cup. It was J-Rab in the tower playing behind. It could have been JC who started, and then Mouse started playing on the Dorito side, where Keith Brown was playing in the snake. Where do you see Impact starting? Are they going to go ahead and put Dalton in?
I think they're going to put Dalton in. I think they're going to start with JC because that's he is Impact. Start with JC, and then they're going to rotate Dalton in because they're going to need to get him in the groove with the team. It's his first event with them. So,
and what about Heat?
Heat, oh man, it's gonna be interesting because they're gonna have a Mishka. They lost Greg Soers. Greg Soers now plays for the Los Angeles Ironmen. Mm-hmm. So he was their go-to Dorito guy. So that's a void that Heat is gonna have to fix. Whether that be with Ryan Moorhead or Ronnie Dizon, Nico Hyde. They got 3 guys that are fighting for that one spot.
Let's talk about Nico Hyde. He's practicing, and he's putting in some unconventional work right now. Yeah. What have you heard?
He, he's over in Russia right now, practicing every day with Mishka, which is, a pretty incredible opportunity, especially from where he came from. Just last year he was driving himself to practice in Dallas, coming from Houston. Grinding it out with AC guys to 6 months later, going to Russia, practicing with Mishka, who's one of the best players of all time. Right. Especially if you're going to train with a guy like that, you're going to get a lot better. So, dude, I'm excited to see what Nico brings to the table this year.
Is that? Do you know that Mishka comes from the Russian Legion camp? Mm-hmm. Is that facility that he's going to? It's completely. It's different.
A completely different facility.
But I'm sure he's getting the run right now. Like he's getting the true Russian camp.
Experience. Yeah. No question about that. I spoke with him a little bit. They're waking up at 5 a.m. to go to go train, as they say in Euroland. Yeah. So they're going to go train every day. Then they come home, sleep, and then they wake up and go train again. So it's a pretty, insane regiment that they're doing over there.
All right, let's get right into fantasy. In FanWagon, Impact is worth 10 points being in the lead. At the first place position, Heat got 4th. They're worth 40 points if you win. So basically, if you pick Impact and they win, you get 10 points. If you pick Heat and they win, you get 40 points. Let's look at 2016. 2 times Impact won, 1 time Heat won, but Heat won in the finals. Total amount of points won for Impact was 14. Total amount of points lost for Impact against Heat was 11. So they're 14 and 11. 14 points for Impact, 11 points for Heat. Heat being worth 40 points, Impact being worth 10 points. So basically, I believe that 1 time out of 4, if I believe Heat will win, it's worth picking Heat. In that matchup, I'm going to pick Heat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to. If you're playing to win fantasy, you got to. That's a great.
Obviously, the odds on stats, 14 to 11 points. It's close. I give a lot of weight to that Sunday loss in Nashville where Heat won the event. That means they showed up to win. But for the point system, I'm going to give it to pick to Heat.
Yeah.
Pick to Heat. Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Impact Infamous. Next match. Woo. This is inner bracket now. Again, outer bracket's based on, how does the outer bracket thing work? It's basically if there's a tie.
Yeah, there's a tie.
So if there's a tie within your division, within your bracket, it takes your outer bracket match.
Yes.
So now we're talking about in bracket matches. Impact's first match, Impact versus the new Infamous. Infamous is worth 20 points, Impact worth 10, very close. Tell me about the new Infamous.
The new Infamous. I wouldn't. Yeah, it is pretty new because they got Max Trailer. I was gonna say they got Drewby back, so it's not so much of a new Infamous. But yeah, they added Max Trailer.
Oh, it's totally new. New guns.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, personnel, very same.
But yeah, I mean, new guns, new paint sponsor, new everything. Sponsored gear wise, you know, they're shooting Planet Eclipse, sponsored by Valken. I mean, that's pretty much what they got. Drewby, Max Trailer,
huge pickup for me. Like from my personal opinion, picking up Max, who, in my opinion, look at the stats. He was stuffing for 187. I don't have the stats for you there, but he was stuffing for 187.
Yeah.
Traditionally been the one performing for 187, and that's exactly, I believe, what Infamous needs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he fits in with the team. I personally don't know Max very well. I do respect him as a player. I do respect the move, them grabbing him, because they definitely needed that. I think they're going to be a good team, man. It seems like they're practicing a lot, you know. But other than that, there's really not too much out there. You got Trevor Reeser, Callie, and Damien. I see practicing a lot, and I see Drewby, Shredder, and Cody Mikowski practicing in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So, you know, a lot of it's individual for them right now. So it's going to be really important for these two practices coming up to see how they can get it all to gel together. Because, yeah, man, there's a lot of moving parts. You're right. Absolutely right. With new gear and everything, and you're adding an ex-player, but then also a new player to the mix after losing, you know, myself. It's going to be an interesting, you know, catch-up period.
They're keeping the wall. And both of the star players from both these teams, Impact and Infamous, you've got Nick Laval, MVP 2 times, 3 times, stat leader against Damian Ryan.
Yeah.
But still, who do you pick?
I pick Nick Laval. I love Damian. I don't think he should play the wall. I think it's a waste. I think you put your higher quality players in positions to do damage instead of play a role. Mm-hmm. It's one of my personal disagreements with personnel on Infamous. Nick Laval plays it well, man. He's able to play it articulately and make the shots, survive, and also be a part of the team. That's the biggest thing. You see him communicating, doing hand signs, whatever he needs to do to talk to the other guys on his team. Mm-hmm. When Damien gets up there, he's quiet and he's out there just to, try and get his kills. But the wall doesn't provide that many kills if you're playing a high caliber team. The wide guys aren't looking to get shot by the wall. You got to respect that he's there every time. Nick Laval does a very good job of spot selection where he won't immediately go up to the wall. He'll play a spot, pretty close to it. Then he'll go up. Then he'll retreat. He's a very dynamic player up there. And that's, man, you either have a wrecking ball, like a Yaya, who runs through trades, and that's it. And that's like the move, because that's what you need to do. Get that guy off the field. What you don't want is to be the guy who's playing defensively in the wall and getting bunkered out and having your team rely on protecting you. Right. That's not the way to play this sport. I think Impact does a very good job with Nick Laval.
Impact 10 points, Infamous 20 points. Impact played Infamous twice in 2016. At World Cup, they beat them 8-2. At Sunday of Texas Open, they lost to Infamous by 1 point, 6-7. Total amount of points, 14 points for Impact, 9 for Infamous. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Yep. 14-9. Who do you give the fantasy pick to?
Whew. I'd give it to Infamous because it's going to be Impact's second game, right, of the tournament. So they have an opportunity to watch what they're doing and seeing how they're executing on this field, giving them a huge advantage of seeing what they're going to key up on and what they're going to do with that. Infamous is a good team, man. If you let them pick apart someone's game plan, I'm going to put the dice in their hands. I'm going to roll with them. Not to say Impact's not a bad pick, but I think it's worth the extra 10 points to gamble Infamous.
I'm going to disagree with you, and here's why. New roster. Mm-hmm. Almost completely new. And they lost a starter.
Yeah.
They lost, went to AC Dallas.
Brad McCurley.
They lose Brad McCurley. They're going to have to start someone completely new. New equipment, new sponsors, new paint. I agree with you, the 10 points. I'm going to give it to Impact, though. I have you down for Infamous. Next one, Impact Shock. Shock worth 90 points. Impact worth 10. Shock struggled last year. Tell me a little bit about the Shock camp.
They've had a rough couple seasons. Not able to keep a roster together is a huge. It's almost impossible to compete in this league if you can't keep majority of your roster together for at least 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. Shock hasn't been able to keep a package of 2 guys on the team for a span of 3 years. Mm-hmm. So Shock's always a hard read because Mikey Bruno, he's coaching them, he's giving them game plans that are very unconventional but exciting. Sometimes they work, especially when the players execute the plays that you see a lot of them work. Mm-hmm. Traditionally against Impact, they've beaten them before.
Yeah, World Cup they did.
Yeah.
That was the one loss that Impact took during World Cup.
Yeah.
4-3. But it was almost a blowout. The last 2 or 3 points came in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
There was the major penalty with J-Rab that was controversial. They had to start a body down and all that stuff. He ran down the middle, got a penalty. He claimed that J-Rab claimed that his own team shot him. But anyway, total amount of points is 11 points Impact has scored on Aftershock. They've met twice. They've won once. They lost once. 5 points have been scored on Impact by Aftershock. The loss was in Sunday Texas Open. Impact beat them 8-1. But most recently, you're right, Aftershock beat Impact 4-3.
Yeah, but to beat that, I don't know who's on Shock right now. They grabbed a really good player in his past, Danny Tiljak, phenomenal Avalanche player. He hasn't played in a couple of years. And by a couple of years, I'm probably leaning around 6 years. I don't know when the last time he touched a gun, but professionally, it's been like 6 years.
And he's practicing now with
Aftershock, which I don't know if they've practiced. Aftershock's a very questionable team because, especially with these guys moving away, you don't really hear too much about what they're up to. Like I said, the roster is pretty bare as far as popular names. But it's that blue collar mentality. They got Mikey Bruno still. He's still going to be an aggressive team. That's what that's what Aftershock is an aggressive team. I'm still going to give it to Impact because
90-10.
Yeah.
Shock's worth 90 points. Impact's worth 10. You're going to give it to Shock or Impact.
Impact.
You're going to give it to Impact.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I want Shock to do well. It'd be awesome. But World Championship team versus blue collar guys.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. But I hope to be proved wrong.
Obviously, you can't rule them out. 4-3 at World Cup. Most recently, they have beaten Impact. But we'll see on that one. Last match for Impact, which is Impact versus Uprising. They were in 12th place at the end of World Cup. Impact, Uprising, final match for Impact for Vegas. Here's the interesting stat for Uprising. In all of 2016, they won 5 matches. And after watching them for a year, you wouldn't think that.
No.
And you had mentioned about their World Cup matches.
Yeah, they every match they played in was an overtime match. I don't know if that's ever happened for 4 prelims to go overtime 4 times and to also not convert a win out of any of those opportunities. That's heartbreaking, man.
Who do you see standing out in Uprising? Who has to perform on that team?
Graham Arnold, hands down. He's the anchor of that team. We've seen him in many matches pull things out that they should traditionally lose. Most notably, Russian Legion Vegas matchup, the one-on-one. Yeah. After all the controversy, he played phenomenally well, but he matched up against Brennikov, who's a guy you don't want to get riled up. You want to play that guy in your element, not in his. Don't prod that man. And Graham Arnold definitely got him going, and Brennikov just smoked him in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So here we go. Alexander Burtikoff on your right, Graham Arnold on your left. Uprising, Moscow Red Legion. Who is going to take this one-on-one sudden death victory?
Oh, and there it is, right in front of his loader. Graham Arnold just took one off the kid.
Moscow Red Legion, Alexander Burtikoff has come out and made his statement here, taking down Graham Arnold.
But that's the guy you need to play well. He's one of their best players. So is Joel Eden. Joel Eden's a solid attacker on the Dorito side for those guys. Realistically, we need everybody on Uprising to do well. We need production out of their bench. We need Alex Gray to do well.
Uprising, Impact, they faced each other twice. Once at World Cup, 2-3, Impact won. Another time again in Nashville, 2-3, Impact won. So both times 1-point matches. So we're looking at 4 points total for Uprising and 6 points total for Impact. The spread, though, in fantasy is 110 points. Uprising was worth 120 points. Impact is worth 10. So basically one time out of 12 matches they'd have to win for it to make sense to pick Uprising. Who do you pick?
I'm picking them because of the spread.
Just based off stats?
Just based off
120
just
points.
Just based off the points. You know, I'm going to give them more of an advantage. If it's an aggressive field, Impact's going to dominate them.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to pick Impact. Only because
the safe choice.
No, not the safe choice. Uprising team members, and good on them. Uprising team members were at the Ironmen tryouts.
Yes, they were.
Now, again, good on them. If they think that they can make a caliber team up and they want to push themselves to a more successful brand than before, and they believe that they deserve to be on that team, good on them. But those members are still on Uprising.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure that does not bode well.
Oh, I mean, I asked them when they were at the tryouts, I said, you're still on this team, right? Uh-huh. So how do they feel about this? Well, if I make this team, Uprising won't be around. Really? Okay. So let's just say worst case scenario, you don't make this team, and you go back like a dog with your tail between your legs and say, hey, can I still play here? Dude, there's going to be a rift in the team. You know, it might not be immediately, but like, hey, Cena, whatever, dude, I'm proud of you. Whatever. You're still on the team, whatever. But the second something goes wrong, those things are going to come up.
Yeah, and I think that if you had a season like 2016 where you only won 5 matches, and during your off season you're trying out for Ironman and so on, I can't imagine that amount of time is properly spent to expect to win more than 5 matches.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Even out of 12 times, even though all their matches with Impact were within 1, I personally would rather have the safe bet of 10 points than risking 120. Next match, Infamous versus Aftershock.
You know, in the past, that was a very exciting game. I'm sure it still will be very exciting. But when Infamous fielded a roster of majority ex-Aftershock players, it always made for a bloody, you know, very vengeful match. Now, I don't really necessarily think that's there. I think it'll be there because Drew just left Shock for the second or third time to go to Infamous. So there's definitely going to be something there. But I think Infamous is going to, walk all over him.
2 times we had Aftershock and Infamous play each other, 10-3 in Nashville and 2-3 at World Cup. Infamous won both times. Total amount of point spread, you have 12-6, so 2-1 ratio for Infamous versus Aftershock. What's your pick? Infamous is worth 20, Shock is worth 90.
Infamous.
Same.
Yeah.
Next match, Infamous Uprising. 20 points to 120. We've talked about both these teams. We'll get right into the fantasy pick. Infamous 20, Uprising 120.
Infamous. Infamous is going to win that.
Yeah, Infamous played Uprising 1 time again at World Cup, 1-point game.
Yeah.
But it was again one of those fields that went to the advantage of Uprising to be able to slow down the team. I agree with you. We're going to go with Infamous. And the final matchup for Fantasy in Bracket A is Aftershock versus Uprising. Now, this is actually a huge match for Fantasy. 90 points for Shock, Uprising 120. If you want to win the gun, or if you want to win the prize for fantasy, it's a massive match. And this is probably a match that will define whether either of these teams will make Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shock 90, Uprising 120. Who do you give it to?
You're to Shock.
Give it to Shock.
Yeah, I want to see. It's hard because I actually like watching those games. I like seeing what these teams that are going through things, and other than the typical drama of a paintball team, but the teams that don't have the financial backing, the teams that are practicing to win a prelim game. I like watching those games to see of the team which one of the guys are actually professional paintball players and which one actually has the heart to go down the field and shoot 5 dudes, because those other guys are incapable, or they're not putting the time or the effort or whatever it is. It's a beautiful stage for a guy to make his name. We saw it with 187, Max Trailer, Dan Zaleski, Nick Laval. These guys were the 3 guys that made that team a threat. And we saw one of them get picked off by impact, and the other 2 stayed, right? So the same thing could happen to either one of these teams. If these Uprising guys that were at our tryouts, all right, if they go wherever they go with their paintball career, if they go into this match and they put up points and they get the results they need to, then they have more of an opportunity to make another team if they want to, But right now, if you're not going to go out and play to the best of your ability for the team that you're currently on, then you're wasting not only your time, but my time, because I'm watching, and I don't like wasting my time. So I'd love to see Alex Gray, Graham Arnold, Joel Eaton stunt. I love to see the guys on Shock that I don't know about stunt.
Yeah.
I want to see that. It makes for good paintball. It makes for everything. It's spectators, everybody enjoys it more.
It is very interesting, especially with what we did with Impact and how much we followed them and how much we got to see behind the scenes, all the way from 2014 till now, where they were, in a sense, the underdog that you were rooting for, that had the expectation to win.
Yeah.
And then we saw them now for 2 seasons dominate. World champions this year, winning nearly every event, showing up at 2016, showing up at every single finals, winning the Millennium, winning NXL. But what's interesting, and even at NXL against Russian Legion, the cheers were louder when Russian Legion won.
Yeah.
Because humans by nature love to see the underdogs win, and they love to see the crown move. And that's great about sports. I love that. But I'm a fan of Tiger Woods. I'm a fan of Michael Jordan. I'm a fan of the industry leaders dominating.
Yeah.
And for me, watching Impact win is great. It's awesome. But for the sport and for all these other teams that are trying and struggling, you're right. It's totally cool to see, the upsets like Aftershock did at World Cup. And it shook them up. It made them better, though.
Yeah,
but it shook them up.
That's the thing, man. Like, it's awesome that Impact's doing well for them. Like, it's exciting. Is it poor for spectators? I don't know. What it should do is light a fire under the pro team's asses to fucking get in gear. You know? The excuse, the monetary discussion that happened earlier this offseason is a ridiculous argument, dude. I agree. Sure.
What was the argument?
The argument was, does the financial backing of a team make the team win? Yeah, if you look at it at any perspective, you can be like, yeah, totally. But people were winning way before, when money wasn't even more so involved back in the day. Underdogs were winning. It takes efficient practice, people that all have the will to win and like-minded goal, and the ability to go out there and execute. It takes all those things. Money helps grow your team. You can go after the guys. You can skip some processes, but
pick up
still
talent, pick up people with experience.
Yeah,
practice more consistently.
But I mean,
it's
still super capable.
The argument is obvious. That money does help a team achieve more.
Totally, but you could.
It also grows expectation.
Yeah.
It also grows a bit of negligence. Some of the Impact guys are not going to be practicing near as much as a more hungry team. Like
we've seen it with Russian Legion. We've seen it with these guys. They came in, they practiced 5 days a week, sometimes more. But now you see these heroes of Russian Legion, if you will, Sergey, Mishka, Fedorov, and see where they're at in heat now. I guarantee you they're not practicing as much as they were Russian Legion. Sure, they meet for practice, 2 weeks before tournaments, and they do all that jazz. But the Fedorov that everybody remembers is the guy that was untouchable. You can see there's a little chink in his armor that you can, kind of get in. He's mortal now. And with the practicing thing, Impact, correct me if I'm wrong, practiced 1 weekend before NXL events.
So most of the time, Impact will meet up twice before an event, but the 1 week camp before an event is every day for a week.
Every day
it's
for a
not
week.
Just a weekend. They'll go do drills. They'll stay together for quite a few days.
The biggest part is being together.
And then they have a quality scrimmage
Yeah.
before every single match. That's the thing that the complaint from the other pros is that Uprising, Revo, TMG, Damage, and so on, when they don't have the funding to travel between practices, it allows for teams like Impact, X Factor, Infamous, Dynasty to meet each other, top tier pro teams, and give each other basically a once over on the field, and then they go to the event. Regardless of talent, regardless of money, regardless of the amount of practice they did before that, that practice is so big that they get an extra 50, 60 points against a tier 1 team.
Yeah.
Whereas Revo, I believe, is practicing against, I can't remember their names. I think it was the, Bay State Bandits.
Okay.
A divisional team.
Yeah.
I think. Don't quote me on it. I think. But it was basically a divisional team.
I think you're right.
Dave Cheney from Under Armour, he says that he got some reps with Revo. That would never happen at an Impact practice.
Oh, no. No. But, I mean, you still can practice more efficiently. You can learn. There's webcasts. There's all sorts of technology to help you boost your team.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, guys aren't trying hard enough to beat Impact, to beat Dynasty, to beat Houston Heat. You got to hold yourself accountable. If people are going to play the blame game about the money, then fuck.
You're already behind.
Yeah, dude. You skip that, bro. Be accountable of your own actions and your own performance, and don't rely on someone making a ton of money or sponsorship. Dude, it's a moot point.
One more time. Impact, Infamous, Aftershock, Uprising. Who do you think will be that team, if any of them? You have to pick one. Who will be that team to put in enough work to finally topple Impact in their current reign?
I'd love to see a strong Infamous take down Impact, just because I was a part of Infamous last year, and that was our goal. I'd love to see that team carry on with the goal and accomplish it this year. It'd be amazing to see Aftershock get the monkey off their back and move on to Sunday. I think it'd be huge for their organization.
You gotta pick one.
Oh, man. Infamous.
There you have it. Episode 4, First Look. We got Bracket A done. Be sure to tune in soon. Everybody at Go Sports, we will have Bracket B, C, and D done for you as well. Again, thank you to our sponsors, GoSports.com, MyFanWagon.com, GI Sports, NXL. We will see you soon.